Smell that? It's time for a swing dance reaction video.
No, no, no.
Woo! It is time for another Jack and Jill. Welcome to Street Smart Swing, folks. My name is Jamin Jackson, also known as the Galactic Swing Dance Umpire. And I am here to scrutinize another Jack and Jill competition. Jack and Jill obviously means improvisation. It's used a lot in different art forms, but in Lindy Hop, it's great because you just don't know what you're going to get. So they're going to pair up leads and followers together. They're going to get out there and do something special. Now, one thing I got to watch is this level is going to be kind of interesting because the intermediate, they call it mix and match, but it basically means Jack and Jill. But this level, you got to watch them because sometimes when it's labeled intermediate, the dancers are actually really, really, really good, or they're more like beginners. So I don't know what I'm going to get. I got to keep my eyes open, and from the thumbnail, I can't really tell if I know any of these dancers personally. So this is good for my subconscious. I can literally just look at this and hopefully just be surprised by what I see and not kind of put my judge filter on if I know them or not. So hopefully these dancers will not be letting me down in any way. I brought my chicharrones. I'm ready to go!
And here we go.
It looks like we're on, and we got a lot of couples to look at. This is going to be kind of a challenge. It always is a challenge, because you're going to miss something as soon as you look down the right. Ooh, I like that coat. Whoever has this like purple coat is awesome. Yes. This is a good song. I don't have this one. I need to Shazam it. All right, let's take a look. I like these warm-ups like this. I get a chance to see a little bit of personality, how they would normally dance without all the pressure. Hopefully that will be what they do when they do perform. All right, let's see. First couple. I'm just gonna go by colors. All right, pink hat, orange pants. They have names, I'm sure. Yes! I like that bounce when they first started. Yes. They're getting a lot of time. This is good. Now, I really appreciate this format. It gives the audience opportunity to breathe, to really look at a couple and just dance together. Oh, that's good. That's good. That was fun. Abigail and Daniel. Okay, I got one name. Two names. Man, that blue dress is like playing tricks on my eyes on my computer screen. He's not scared to play. I like this. I like when they suggest things that are outside the ordinary and the followers like, all right, let's go for it. Let's try it. This is where the Jack and Jill format shines. This is it. It's that rawness of vulnerability between two dancers. Excellent job. All right. We got a drummer. We got a drummer. All right. Yeah, I like that slide. I saw that. Yes! 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 Alright guys, that was special. So far, I've got them ranked the highest. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. Yeah. Hey, nice syncopation. That was cool. Ah, I saw that. Yes, good job, guys. Oh, my room is like the weirdest room in the house. Wintertime, it gets so hot. In the summertime, it's like super cold. It's never like the perfect middle ground, so I will be getting up a few more times. Hey, hey! Yes, yes! And we have a new winner so far. So far, they're up at the top. They're up at the top. All right, this is couple number 6. Hey! Looking good. This is pretty steep. Like I said, not every intermediate Jack and Jill competition really means the same thing. This is one of those cases. All right, let's see. Yeah. right, one more couple. This is a crazy competition. It's so hard. I keep having to go back and change what I have. So you guys are lucky. I get to talk about the process right here. All right. Yes. Hey! Yeah! Dare I say it? This, I won't say it. I'll give myself a lot of unnecessary hate.
The intermediate mix and match is not the only contest that's going on today. We also have the late night shag battle. So check that out later tonight. It's going to be a throwdown. But first, we have these to throw down for you. Audience, make sure to clap and yell a lot.
All right, I'm done. I don't want to see that. Gotta play some Street Fighter, folks. That was a good one. 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 Woo! Where do I start? Good dancing. Something I just saw. And I am super excited to be able to not recognize everybody because the angle, this camera is just kind of off a little bit, so I can't see everybody's faces up close. I might know a few of these dancers. I think I might, but let's hope that doesn't skew my perspective. Even though if it did, it's still my opinion, which is still subjective, right? So let me start, man. Big shout out to everybody in this competition, because when I first started dancing, intermediate really meant someone who was just kind of figuring out how to do the beginner movements a little better. And this level that I saw right now, this would have been like invitational level about 5 years ago. Like really, invitational level 5 years ago. So how in the world can you judge a competition like this where just 5 years ago, these kind of dancers would be considered invitational, teaching people all over the world. Everybody can't wait to get into their classes, right? So I got to look at those things that are objective, and I have to also take in consideration those things that are subjective that I really prefer and that I see as a great balance and example for future generations to uphold. With that being said, the very first thing that I look at in a competition like this is to see how well these dancers are craftsmen of the art form. And the reason I say that is because there is a clear example that has been set by the late Frankie Manning and the late Norma Miller. They weren't the originators of Lindy Hop. That's such a weird statement to say. They were the second generation of Lindy Hoppers. But because of their example in looking at the generation that came before them with respect and saying, you know what, I'm gonna learn how to do this thing, but guess what? They worked harder in a way than the previous generation and added so much significant value and a volume of dance language to Lindy Hop that Lindy Hop is synonymous with Frankie Manning and Norman Miller. And I think every generation should be like that. We should be adding a significant amount of value to what came before and not just going and saying, hey, forget what came before. Who cares? Let's just do whatever we want to do. In my book, that isn't fair and it's disrespectful. With that being said, every one of these dancers were excellent craftsmen. And if you can just get the craftsman part, which I like to use the word control, you're in third place. But here's the problem. I'd say, let's see, 7 of the couples. I'd say 5 of the couples were excellent at the crafts. They understood how to lead and how to follow. That sounds very ambiguous, but let's get specific with how I look at it. Control is simply, can I see call and response? Because that's going throughout the entire genre. We have the rhythm section, we have the soloists, we have the dancers, we have the music, we have male, we have female, we have black, we have white. It's all about opposites and swing, and I love that. And what I saw was leaders initiating something and followers being able to respond in a way that was just the echo of what happened, the conclusion of what happened. And many of these dancers did it so well that I could not solely judge them on the control part. I had to immediately go into the other areas that I like to look at that are a bit more subjective. And that area is timing. Timing. I mean, you can control the dance and do whatever you want. People can say it's beautiful. Some people will say it's terrible. If you're really famous, people will just go, woo, 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 it's amazing. And it could be just not that good, right? So the timing part on where you decide to place your movements is subjective. But I will say, the emotional component of what the music is doing is pretty predictable. Swing dancing has very specific phrasing. It builds up, and by the 4th 8 count, or the 6th 8 count, if it's like a blues structure, something begins to change in the music. There's a build up, a crescendo. The drummer does some kind of transition, and then it begins that pulsating build up again. And those dancers who can actually match their movements to that transition, you can appreciate the music even more. It helps the viewers see a bridge between what they see and what they hear. That's subjective, but I will tell you there's an emotional response that typically takes place. That's a huge clue that you're tapping into something that's really special. And so when dancers are able to really tap into the timing of the music, you got the metronome everybody's dancing in, that's swing time. Who cares about that? They can all do it. But manipulating the control of the technique to place certain phrasing of movements with the music in a certain time, that takes a little bit more skill. And so with that being said, the couple I first had in first place were quickly replaced because of the dancers that went after them. So I gotta give a shout out to a couple people. So 4th place for me, this is the first time I've ever done a 4th place because their talent has to actually be acknowledged. The 4th place couple for me was the gentleman who had the brown coat. Now it was a greenish brown coat. He had a blue shirt, blue tie, beard, kind of like a grayish blue hue pants, and the follower had like a flowery dress on. It was dark black with like white flowers, looks like gray, with glasses. They had some incredible timing with their syncopations. And I will even say doing syncopations takes a lot of skill because you can do a lot of rhythms inside of the basic swing rhythm metronome, and it can become extremely cluttered and difficult to view and extract the real value out of what you're trying to do because it isn't properly placed with the music. And this couple, for whatever odd reason, they were able to both do it, but they weren't running over each other. And that is so admirable in itself. And I liked what they were doing because of that. They had the control, but they were doing a lot of fancy footwork. And the follower, she was killing it. She had some slides, like sliding out on those send outs and stuff. You could see that stuff mainly when the leader is quiet. And when the follower echoes and does something like that that's different, I look at it, I see it, and a lot of respect is given to them, because it takes a lot of restraint for a leader to do less when they can do more. So they're like fourth place for me. I don't even know who they are. I encourage you guys to let me know in the comment section, whoever it is, but they're fantastic dancers. Third place for me. This was tough. This was a tough one because it came down to what happened towards the end of their set that made them kind of get the underhand compared to the couple that followed them. But this couple was first for me. And the reason is, this couple was first is because the leader had so much control in his body. Body control and restraint, didn't do a whole lot, allowed the follower to be seen in the movement, and was never rushed. This couple, he had a red and white shirt. It was like Coca-Cola design, and she had like a gray coat. She had glasses. Woo! They were phenomenal. I have to watch it back again to see some of the little idiosyncratic movements that he put in, just trying to remain quiet. It was so much louder because he was quiet that I saw more in him just doing that than I did in when he started moving. It was beautiful. And those are the things that I look for, is what can you do that doesn't like do too much? And the body control is what set it apart. They also had some fantastic timing. They didn't do things that were as good, I would say, in time to help me hear the music as much as some of the dancers that followed them, but they're right up there. They're literally right up there. This was actually aesthetically, like my own personal preference, this was my favorite couple to watch, because that's just the couple I like. I like to, when I dance, to show a tremendous amount of body discipline and control with a bunch of crazy moves and ingenuity. I like that interesting balance, and I think it's hard to do. But for those that can do it, much respect. And I think this couple really did that well. So great couple. Second place for me. This was tough. This was tough. But I gotta give a second place. So second place for me was the gentleman who had the blue jacket. He had tan pants, red shoes, and the follower had a black dress and yellow like birds or flowers, or I don't know what was on there, but it was a beautiful dress. But the dancing was even more beautiful because they not only had control, they had incredible timing. Like, they were able to hit all of the phrases, right? Not just to just hit them, but they were doing things that were different on those movements. They weren't just stopping and picking their nose, right? Because a lot of times it can become very gimmicky when you hit the ending of every phrase just to highlight it because you can. But they were trying and they were doing things that were different, and the tone of what they were doing remained the same. I did not feel at all like his joy and her joy to mirror his was fabricated. It looked like they really enjoyed it. That's the best part about Lindy Hop, is it's easy to fake it. It's easy to be mediocre and just repeat the same old moves everybody else does. But I didn't feel at once that the moves that he was doing with his partner, even though some of them weren't 100% original, I didn't feel like they were fake or forced. They were excellent dancers. Just excellent dancing. And I personally did not like his energy, but that's his style. That's his preference. That's how he likes to do it. I like to look at those things, like I said, that help me appreciate the timing of the music. It helps me appreciate the technique, the idea of call and response. And it also helps me respect the idea of creativity, like the unique fingerprint of the dancer and what their contribution is. So aside from me not liking his energy as much as I liked the gentleman with the Coca-Cola shirt, they still got second for me. They still got second because I believe their timing was better than the couple before, simply because they were able to keep the level of energy the same. It didn't look fake. and they were able to do different things whenever the music changed. It wasn't gimmicky at all. And I'll let you know when things are gimmicky so you guys know what I'm talking about. But they were second place. Fantastic dancing. Wonderful. So that leaves me now with the hard choice, my first place, right? Now, my first place was tough because it was almost the couple I just mentioned. And it was almost the couple before them, right? The first place for me goes to the last couple. Goes to the last couple. Follower had like a purplish pink dress with yellow shoes, and the gentleman had like a long purple, looks like almost like a purple bluish velvet coat. A wonderful coat, by the way. It's beautiful. And what I loved about it, they not only had control, they not only had timing, but like the couple before, they had some ingenuity that was done that was different, but it was in better time than the couple before. For example, they both couples did some moves that I did not see before. They were like unexpected and I didn't see it, but I believe the timing of the couple that was last was better because when they came out of the move, there was silence and the tone of it changed so I could see, okay, what just happened was awesome, and now they went on to something else. The couple before, which I said I couldn't judge them on the energy level, even though I didn't like the energy level, they were able to do some fancy stuff, but there wasn't a great contrast so that I could actually appreciate it. They would do it and they would move on to something else, which is technically not bad. Nothing's wrong with that. But as the viewer, to get an emotional reaction, I couldn't feel the contrast of what they were doing as much, and therefore I couldn't appreciate the ingenuity when it happened because there wasn't a rise and a fall like the music, right? They just continued to move. But this last couple, they did it for me. They had all three of those areas. They had two cool moves. They had one I hadn't seen before. They had another that I'd seen before, but it was done in perfect timing, which is another hard thing to do. So whoever they are, and I think I know him. I don't know if it's my friend Nick or not, but I'm not sure, so I'm not going to say. But they were fantastic dancers, my favorite dancers. I want to give a shout out to everybody who danced in this because, like I said, the intermediate level just 5 years ago, if they were dancing at this level, they would be teaching with me at big events doing these things, right? But that's a testimony to how wonderful technology can be, like the internet, where people can share ideas. Dancers from all over the world can be inspired by each other. And now for me, and what I'm hoping to find are those people who are willing to say, great, we got technology. Great, we got the technique, that control part, that objective small part. Now, what are we actually going to do about it that's different than what came before, but that's also respectable? That's what I'm looking for. And hopefully these dancers that I saw will continue to push and make their mark onto the Lindy Hop genre in a very positive way. I cannot wait to see what happens with them. But who do you think should have won this competition? I just told you my big fat opinion. I'm not scared to do that. This is what I believe, and this is what I use. This is the method I use when I'm actually in person judging competitions. But I like to tell you guys out there so that if you are in a competition and you see me there, you're going to know what I'm looking for. You know, there's not going to be any gimmicks. I'm not going to do any woo-woo like the audience just because people know who you are. I'm actually looking for things that are at minimum respectful to the art form, the music, and for the idea of individual creativity being added to the genre. And I want to see that more. I don't know. I guess it's because I come from a hip-hop background, which really is like a vintage swing background where it was based on creativity and the idea of show me something new. Show me something different. Can you outdo me at this? And I like that. I like the fight. So let's see what happens with these dancers. So if you guys have never done a Jack and Jill like this, you need to do it. I remember my first one. I was terrified. I ended up doing it, and I ended up winning like first place. But it didn't help me because where do you go after first place? You can only go down, right? Because judges become more critical, and there's a lot of politics. Everybody deals with that in every scene in the world. But the reality is it put a fire in me to figure out, like, how does this dance actually work? I wasn't very good, but I won first place. So what's the deal here? I'm just going to get better, but what's better, right? So if you're looking to figure out, like, how to mature in the dance in a way where you clearly understand what's objective and what's subjective, so that you can develop your own personal style quickly and not have to take years to get good at the technique, thinking that it's the main thing that you're working on, which it isn't. I encourage you to check out some of my free courses below. You'll get a taste of our approach at Lindy Hop. You'll see some of the crazy moves that I come up with each week for our community, because we want to push Lindy Hop forward in a positive way, not forward in a rebellious way that dishonors the art form, but really to add value to those dancers in the future who will look back at this time and period in the history of Lindy Hop and say, wow, what were they doing? I want to work that hard to at least figure out what they were doing and then add my part. So if you're interested, I encourage you to check out the courses below. If I don't see you in class in one of my videos, I will see you hopefully in one of the next reaction videos online. See you guys soon.